All right, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of the Fit CEO podcast with your host, Chad Molyneux. We have one of our amazing clients on. His name is Blake freaking Prime. I can't believe it. I literally just asked him if that's his real name, and he said that it is. So we're going to be breaking down Blake's story today. Blake, quick 30-second background on you, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, born and raised in the South from Alabama. So I'm in Hoover, Alabama for everybody. Birmingham, that might be a familiar point for most people, but I've been in the fitness industry for 20 years now. I'm 40 years old myself. Got a family of 3 beautiful kids, and an awesome wife. So just rocking and rolling.
Man, I would have thought you were like 30. I would have thought we were the same age, man. You look
I'm
great.
almost 41. I'll be 41 in a month or so. So
Yeah, good for you, man. You're
yeah.
freaking jacked for 41. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. It's the southern blood. That's what it
That's
is.
it. Absolutely.
Cool. So, guys, why should you care about this podcast? Blake is a amazing individual. This is my first conversation with him, but I hear lots of chitter chatter about Blake inside of our team chat. All the coaches are talking about him and his success. I believe you contracted 15K in your first month. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we're going to break all that down, but we're going to go way back to the origin story. Where were you? Have you always been fitness coaching? How did you get into online?
So out of college, I played college football at University of Alabama, Birmingham. And when we
Shut
got
up.
done,
Really?
yeah. So I was a
Dude, let's
defensive
go.
back there. So I always enjoyed, sports and being involved in, the training side of things and understanding how the body worked and how it responded to different stimuluses. And originally thought I wanted to be a dentist straight out of college. That's what I went to. I was ready to take the DAT. And go to dental school right there at UAB. And then I shadowed a dentist right when I got done playing college football. And I realized that the human mouth absolutely disgusted me. And so it was like, it was because of football that I missed all the shadowing opportunities I was supposed to do early on in my collegiate career, and I pushed it all the way back to the end. That was a no. I would not recommend doing that. But that forced me into a career path. I said, what am I going to do now? And my best friend, who we had played high school football together, played college football together, he was starting his own company, his performance company. We're training athletes, and so I jumped on board. We, had one client. One of them was two actually. One was my brother. He wasn't even paying anything, so that didn't even really matter. We were in his parents' basement in their neighborhood, and we had a beat up dumbbell rack, and we had some sleds, and we trained them. And before long, that started growing and growing and growing, and started developing a business. It was called RPM. It stood for Rhodes Performance Methods, and we just wanted to get athletes bigger, faster, stronger. Well, working at the backside of that, backing up to that a little bit, I had been working at a Fitness Together personal training studio. And I was really just doing that so I could, save up some money for my now wife's engagement ring at that time. And I told my buddy, I said, man, I would love to start an adult fitness side of what we're doing. And so that launched, we started growing and growing. Fast forward 20 years, we've got an establishment. We had a gym down here in Birmingham that had 300 plus members just on the fitness side. We train teams all across the state. We train athletes all across the state, professional athletes, so NFL, MLB. And then we have another location in Huntsville, Alabama, so North Alabama, that is of equal size. We have physical therapy on both locations. So we started from nothing and built it to what was becoming a well-known and is now a well-known brand in the training industry. It's called Godspeed. We went through a shift there about 2009 where we changed the name over from RPM to Godspeed. That's when the Lord got a hold of our lives and kind of put us in a different direction. And, we just trusted and we followed. And, I could go and I could talk for hours on, Godspeed and what that did and the community that it built. But in short, I ran the adult section. So I was in charge of the adult fitness program. So from programming to training to sales, all of that. And I've built amazing relationships over the years. In that genre, I was cultivating relationships for the better part of 15, 16 years. A lot of my clients that started with me stayed with me. That was one thing we prided ourselves on at Godspeed, was to have longevity, and clients that didn't just turn over, they stayed. And so we built a family. And so when I walked away just a couple months ago now, that was probably the toughest decision I've ever made in my life. I actually walked away, didn't even want anything to do with fitness anymore. And it was really just a push because I was devoting so much of my life to, I'm a firm believer in faith. I've got a strong relationship with Jesus Christ. And so I was serving him. I was serving the people in the community at Godspeed. I was serving in the church. I was doing all these things, but then my wife and my kids were getting leftover Blake. And so the Lord kept putting it on my heart. He said, man, you got to change something. And so we actually went on a mission trip in July. And there we were in Honduras, and it was in a Wednesday night church service. And I just told the Lord, I said, you need to speak to me right now. I am listening. I will do whatever you tell me to do. And he said, walk away. Your priorities are wrong. You're trying, but you're failing, right? So I was not doing my duties as a man, a biblical man, to what I owed to my wife and my children. And so I said, something's got to change. And so at that moment, he told me to walk away. I'm walking back to the shelter we were staying at. I told my wife, I said, hey, when I get back, this is going to be tough, but I'm walking away from Godspeed. And so that was a very, very emotional, difficult transition for me, but I just trusted the Lord was going to provide. Again, I didn't really want to get into fitness. I said, I'm going to go do something completely different. I'm just going to change avenues. And then over the 2 to 3 week period post my exit, Lord just kept putting on my heart, say, this is something that I've gifted you in the ability to serve well. Now here in this aspect, training and serving, you can still do everything you want, but I'm going to give you a way that you can do it and still see your family and be there in the manner that you want to. And it was weird. I was working out one morning and my wife was texting me and she was like, hey, have you heard of this company? Right. And she's talking about your company. And I was like, yeah, I have, I have. And, she's like, well, I'm texting somebody right now. She threw one of the message threads. And I said, well, I'm on the phone texting somebody from there too. So at the same time, without even knowing it, I'm reaching out to somebody, she's reaching out to somebody. And then we talked and I said, let's roll. And so that is where we are today. I launched my business, which is called Prime for Life Training. And so I doing a little play on my last name, I want to set people up for success. And my kind of tagline is, I want to help hold people accountable on the disciplines of faith, fitness, and fuel. And that has allowed me to do exactly what I love doing, serving people, serving a community. And then I have been more present for my family in the last month of this business than I ever have been in the last 20 years. Right. And so it's been really, really good. It's been a wild roller coaster, but it's rolling and I'm loving it.
Dude, this is, oh man, I have so much to unpack. This is like freaking
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly.
Who took, just for my own knowledge, who took your sales call? Was it Jeremy?
Gosh, I knew you were going to ask me that. And I feel really bad that I can't remember his name.
Also like very similar to you, like believes in God, faith, Jack, tattoos.
He had tattoos. I mean, he had like long clothes on, like long sleeve shirt on and stuff. I can't remember. I'm so sorry.
Beard.
He had a little beard, but yes. So
Yeah. Oh my God, man. You guys must have had an electric call because I literally feel like I'm talking to Jeremy. He's our lead closer now, and you guys just have a lot in common. So
yeah,
I need to get you guys reconnected. This is like podcast aside. I'm just excited for that. He actually
absolutely.
he just recommended to me a book, Disciplines of a Godly Man, and I just bought it, and it just came the other day. So I'm excited to dive into that.
Yes.
Quick question that I know the listeners are probably curious about is your collegiate football career in Alabama. So did you play with Nick Saban
So funny. So it's University of Alabama at Birmingham. So it's a different school, right? Yeah. I knew. I was like, man, he's getting way too excited for UAB. Not the University of Alabama. No,
I was like, who am I talking to here? This guy is really Blake.
I was not good enough to play there, but I was fortunate enough to play college football. We had a very successful team. Went to the Hawaii Bowl in 2004, so did a lot of cool things.
Nice, that's awesome, man. All right, let's get into the real stuff here. So 20 years you've been an in-person trainer, right? It sounds like you had multiple different facets of that. I think the thing that is most valuable for our listeners is it sounds like you're a very principled man, which is great. What would you say over those 20 years that you had a lot of success in the in-person field? What would you say are some of the consistent principles that led to that success?
I think the number one thing that allowed me to have success then and having success now is just cultivating relationships. And that is understanding that we are in as coaches, whether it be online, in person, whatever we're doing, we're relationship builders. And that's what it's about. It's not just And I try to convey that to everybody, even now, as I'm meeting new people that are reaching out to me over, emails and messaging. It's like, I want this to be more than just a relationship where you call me coach. Like, we're going to be brothers and sisters in Christ. Like, I'm going to come alongside you and we are going to do life together. Yes, I'm going to give you a program and I'm going to help you with nutrition, but I could also be considered a glorified life coach. And one thing that I harp on is, it's accountability, and that's a two-way street here. I'm going to hold you accountable and you better hold me accountable, because I'm going to serve you and give you the best of me, and I'm going to expect you to give me the best of you, right? And so if you're not happy with the service that I'm providing, or with the service that I'm selling in the initial calls, then call me out, right? We're men, we're adults, right? If I'm talking to a female, like, hey, we're adults here. So like, I can take it. I'm a big boy. And like, I can, if I need to do some growing up, or I need to change some things, or I'm not delivering on what I promised, then I need to do that. Right. And so the biggest thing is just realizing that I'm not in it just to make sales for money. Like, I really, truly just want to serve people. And when you serve people, then you get to live life and you get to experience the triumphs, you get to experience the tragedies, but you just do life. And when they realize that, hey, man, this person cares about me, like, they got my back, then they will really put forth their best effort. And then when they see success, man, that's how we get our successes, right? We get our wins from seeing our clients get what they said they wanted, right? And so it's just, that's how it goes. And so over the years, just serving people and just really just showing that I loved them, and they bought into the fact that I cared about them because it was true. And that allowed people over the years to really trust me, and we developed some really strong bonds, which made my exit from Godspeed so hard, is because there were so many just deep rooted relationships there, but I still hold them today. So it's good.
Amazing, man. I'm hearing accountability. I'm hearing transparency. I'm hearing holding yourself to a higher standard. Now, there's a lot of new coaches that listen to this, just getting into coaching for the first time. You have a ton of experience, which is great. Relationship building. Help break that down for the newbie. What are some things that they should consider when they're trying to build these types of relationships with their clients?
I think honesty up front is, key. They need to realize that you're not just blowing smoke, and that you're not just saying some things, and you never want to overpromise what you know or what you can do, but you feel confident in what you can do. Like, if you're in this program and you know that you want to be a coach, you believe that you can help people, so do it, right? And then you've got to really find a listing point, right? There's a lot of what times you can get on these calls and you can meet new clients and you're just so focused on, hey, I got to know what I'm going to say next. I've got my script prepared, and you're not listening to what they're telling you, right? So, and that quickly turns back around when they realize, like, were you not just paying attention? Like, we talked about all this because you're so focused and can be hyper focused on the sale, the sale, the sale, and doing all these checkpoints, that you're missing the opportunity to impact them because of the pain points they're giving you, right? And so when you can understand the problem, and they're coming to you because they have some kind of problem, they have some issues or deep rooted problems that they want to work out and they want to fix, right? Sometimes it goes well beyond just what they see in the mirror. It's a lot of mental things too. And right. And so when you can come in and understand that, and maybe it's at the end of the call that you have, or maybe it's 2 or 3 calls later, and you're like, yo, Chad, like, how's your son doing? Like, and they're like, oh, he was listening. Like, they get it, right? And so you can get the just the relationship rolling, and that's the biggest thing, is go into it with the mindset of, maybe I'm a 1 call close, maybe it's a 2 call close, but maybe it's longer than that. Maybe this person's going to be a little bit tougher, but I'm going to develop a relationship. And when you start developing relationships, it takes the ability to serve people to another level. And then they really respect you when you start delivering on what you've been promising them.
Dude, 100%. You want to come work for me? Because this is like all the stuff we talk about in our
For
in our
sure.
sales team. But I love how simple you made that, right? So I'm going to break it down for the listener. A sales call, yes, there's a framework to it, but at the end of the day, you're trying to find out what's the problem, why has this become a problem, and why do they care that this is a problem, and then delivering on the solution or the promise in order to get that solved,
Sure.
which I love. So, all right. We talked about principles, right? You said relationship building was one of your big principles in your 20 years of success in person. Any other success principles that you think have led to your consistency and longevity?
I'm a big proponent of preaching what you've practiced, right? And so, especially from a leadership standpoint, I'm a big top down leader. Like, you, people will follow you if they trust that you're willing to do exactly what you're asking them to do, right? I'm not going to go ask you to, or an employee to clean a bathroom if I'm not going to go clean the bathrooms or myself, right? And so when we're talking to these clients, they've got to know that what you're telling them, the program that you're designing for them, the discipline that they're trying to instill in their life, that you carry that same discipline, right? So that's been huge, to be a walking example of what you're selling, right? Yes, I'm telling you what I want you to do. And why do I know it works? Because I do it and I've done it myself. And I will be honest with you, if it doesn't work, I'm going to let you know. I'm not going to make you do something that I would not do, right? And so they have buy-in. It's all about creating buy-in with your customers. And that comes from trust. It comes from them just believing that, you're the leader that you say you are, and just deepening that relationship every single day.
Yeah. Leading by example,
Absolutely.
following through on your promises. I love
Mhm.
it. This is great. So we're going to transition into the online coaching aspect, right? You said that you made that hard decision to leave in person so that you can spend more time with your family. Talk us through that decision a little bit more. I know there's a lot of people who are listening who want to transition careers. Some people from in-person training to online, some people from something completely different to online. But regardless, that transition is hard, like you said, emotionally and also mentally. Talk to people that are going through that transition. What helped you?
I just think, I was just all in. Like, I know, even watching some of your modules, you recommend maybe not going so all in like I did, because I left Godspeed and was like, I'm out. Right. And everybody there was like, so what are you going to be doing? Where are you going? And I don't have anywhere to go. And they're no, you can't be just walking away from this established career. Like, we did insurance, how I provided for my family. I got 3 kids, 13, 10, and 8. It's like, what are you going to do? You've got to have something. And I was like, I'm just literally trusting that the Lord is going to provide here, and I'm just going to go. I'm fortunate enough to be in a situation where I can make that transition. I can take a little bit of time off and figure out what I want to do. And the ease into it, your program made it really simple once I started it. All the done for you tutorials, like, that's what I was looking for. I knew that I can do this. I have no doubt that I can be successful continuing training people in some way. But it was all the back end stuff. It was the just setting up my business. What do I do when it comes to even getting on social media? I've even throughout my 20 years of training, I was not a big social media guy. I like to just share what our gym posted, and that was about it. Stuff with my family. But as far as putting myself out there, me working out, what I wanted, like, I really didn't get into that. And so then I had no clue in that avenue on how to promote myself, promote a business, setting up, an LLC. All of that stuff was just foreign. And then, all right, if I'm going to do this, like, what do I need to be telling people in the initial going? I know I can carry a conversation, but what are some starting points? And so that's where a lot of the tutorials and the modules that you put together really helped me, made that transition pretty smooth. And then it's just, you're going to get out of this what you put into it. It's like anything else. You can sit aside and just say, I'm not really going to take action. That's where most people fail, is because they never really take action. It's easy to talk about it. I'm going to do this. I'm going to have 100 clients here soon. I'm going to do it. But then you don't do anything. So if you can take action, one client turns into three clients turns into 10, and then all these new opportunities start rolling in. And then it's just up to you to capitalize on.
Yeah, so you have the exact mindset that we talk about as an NLCA staff member. One of our company tenets is act first, which essentially is you're not going to have the blueprint. You're not always going to have the game plan, but just take action anyways and figure it out as you go. And that's exactly what you're talking about that you did during this transition. Now, we've talked a lot about, your successes and principles and things of that nature. What's been the hardest thing for you?
People. I'm a people person, right? So that is the one thing that I find myself missing, like being surrounded by 30, 40 people, leading a class, in person, seeing people every single day. And, so now when I go up to the local YMCA to work out, I'm the guy that's running around, talking to everybody, trying to, even though I really want, that's a slippery slope, because now all of a sudden everybody knows, oh, I'm going to go talk to Blake. And then it takes me 18 hours to try to get a workout that should take 45 minutes. But I just love people. I love being around people. I love talking to people. And so just the isolation of that, even my wife was, telling me, I'm going to do I need to be worried about you? I know how much you like people. I'm one of those guys that when my wife goes out of town or my kids are gone, I'm like borderline. I'm going to get depressed here. I need my core people around me. And then I just love being out in the community and serving. So that's been tough, but luckily been able to build a team pretty quickly. I'm on my community WhatsApp all the time, blowing them up at 4 o'clock in the morning when I get up with things, and trying to keep some of that community going, and then check-ins all the time. So it's becoming a new normal for me, put it that way.
I'm the same way, man. I start sending messages to my team at like 4:35 in the morning, and I'm just thinking like, they fucking hate me. They think I'm so annoying right now.
I thought that this morning. I sent something out at 4 a.m. It was just every morning I put some scripture and motivation for the day on how to attack the day, and then we roll. And a lot of them are like, "Well, I know I'm going to be woken up in the morning with your message, so here we go." I was like, "Well, silence the notification if you don't want it at 4 in the morning, because it's coming."
Yeah. Hey, but that's what good leaders do, right?
Absolutely, consistency, right? I'm going to do it.
100%, 100%. All right. So, biggest challenge was being surrounded by people. Obviously, like you said, you have a great family at home, and that's the reason that you got into this. Any strategic challenges for you? Like, was anything like transitioning from in person to online strategically different or challenging?
I think just developing a schedule was tough at first. What am I going to do? What does my day look like? For 20 years, I could do my day with my eyes closed, and that includes from wake up to sundown. I could go walk backwards through everything that I was going to do. And so finding this new normal of, okay, I can be lazy here and do nothing, or I can get a schedule in play and I can, knock out my day according to some kind of plan. Now, the great thing about this is, if we all know that plans sometimes don't work out and things come up, and this gives me the freedom to be able to do that. Right. And so, but for the most part, it's, when am I going to train after I take my son to school? And then when I get home, what starts, right? So what avenues am I taking first? Am I going to watch modules? Am I going to get on sales calls? Am I scheduling? Am I checking billing? Am I doing client check-ins? Am I working on some other stuff within the business that I've got going on? So there's just a lot of stuff. And it was amazing to me to realize how quickly the day would just be gone. Right. I'd look up and be like, oh my gosh, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Kids are coming home. Now we got to get after school activities going. I was just getting in my jam. Right. But, so that's been tough, and just figuring out what days look like, but realizing that, there's freedom in it. I can, if I need to put it off till later tonight, I can. If I need to put it off till tomorrow, I can. Right. It's just, that's been good.
100%, man. 100%. Now, how many, you're 2 months in now, right?
One
You're on,
month.
you're on your second month.
I'm in my second month, in the first week of my second month. Yeah.
All right. We talked about, obviously you've had a lot of success in that first month financially. It also sounds like in your life as well, which has been awesome. I don't talk too much about NLCA on here, but how do you feel like NLCA has contributed to this transition for you?
It's been good. I've kind of been briefly mentioning it throughout what we've been talking about so far, but the modules, the training, a lot of the stuff that the done for you stuff, especially when it came to, to utilizing things like, even Canva, Typeform, watching some of that stuff on, I was foreign to all that. I'd never done it. And then talking to Lacey, she's been a really awesome coach for me. She challenges me. There was a lot of, in the beginning, I was like, I'm not doing the scripts, Lacey. And she's like, do the script, Blake. And I was like, it's not me. I don't need the script. But, she kept pushing back. She just do what I'm telling you to do. So I was like, fine, I'm going to listen to you. Right. And so, but she's been really good. I love her energy and her passion as well. And so, so those
You guys
one
are an interesting pairing.
yeah.
Not getting to talk to you and knowing Lacey for so many years, you guys are a funny dynamic.
Yeah, no, when I met her the first time, I was like, I would not have paired me with her, right off the bat. But I was like, there's got to be a reason. And then as I dove into it more, like, she kills it, and she's brutally honest, which I like. I appreciate that, and so I feel like she can tell me anything, I can tell her anything, and then we roll with it. And that's been really good. I signed up for the weekly coaching calls, and not that I could have probably easily done every 2 weeks or whatever, but I just like talking and making sure that I'm doing things and just to check-ins and okay, just what do you think, right? You've been doing this, you've been successful at it. And so for me to have so much pride that I can't ask somebody that's been successful already, it would be, foolish on my part.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, dude, I'm glad that it's been fruitful for you.
Yeah.
How we usually conclude these podcasts is always trying to help out the viewer and the listener. Like I said, most people who are listening to this are either just getting started or they're not quite yet at that full-time mark of being able to do this full time. What would be some keys to advice for an individual that is trying to get this to become their full-time venture?
I think just figure out what your reason behind it is. I think there's a lot of people that maybe swing into this genre of work because they enjoy working out themselves. And to me, you're not going to be successful if you only know what to do for yourself in the gym, right? Or because then so you got to look at it. Hey, what are you actually doing when you train or when you take care of your body from a nutritional standpoint? Are you just doing what you see other people do, or do you actually know something about how the body responds to certain stimuluses or macronutrients or whatever it is that you're preaching? Because that was the one thing over this 20 years that used to just drive me crazy was across the strength and conditioning field, there is a lot of really good and there's a lot of really bad, but unfortunately, everybody's looped into one, right? So when I would introduce myself, hey, what do you do? I train people. Oh, they kind of like, oh, this guy's probably a meathead, right? And then no, it's not. I'm educated. I went to school for this. I've been doing this for 20 years and I'm very good at it. And you got to believe that and know that. So recognize up front, be honest enough to realize like, if I come into this, do I already have a background that's going to allow me to be successful immediately? If you do, then you can pursue more aggressively. The good thing about this, if you don't, then keep your job, have 1, 2 clients on the side, and then learn. Take as long as you need to get comfortable with it, to understand how to train people online, get them results. Then you start building confidence in yourselves, and then you can start building more clientele. And then when you're ready to make that transition, you can. I would say, and you kind of preach on it when you go through your modules, like don't jump ship too fast. You don't want to just leave something that's already providing for you and then be like, oh God, what did I do? Right? I'm not ready yet. That's the worst thing you can make was jump all the way in and be like, I'm not quite ready. Take your time going through the modules. I see a lot of people that come in on social media when y'all share of, hey, they're re-signing. They're doing it again because they weren't ready once they finished their time. So that's smart, right? Become ready, be prepared. Everybody always says you put on a t-shirt, proper preparation leads to, success. And that's true. You've got to be adequately prepared to move forward. And so you're coming into it, you believe in yourself, you have experience in it, you have education in it, and you feel like I've got enough ground to move forward. I've got clients that are already interested, then run it. If not, take time, take a little bit slower, build your resume up, build your confidence up, and then sky's the limit from there.
Amazing, man. The note that
Yeah.
I wrote down here is define your why, define your style, and know who you are. And if you could do that in this transition, you're going to have a pretty seamless one, or as seamless as it can be.
Yeah,
Any
and that's one thing I tried to realize too is, obviously even stuff like pricing from a group training standpoint to, what the standards are for what we do now. You got to realize this world is full of lots of people, and the good thing about online remote training is you can reach far beyond, what your neighborhood or your social area, right? Because your geographical area, because now we're reaching people that can be in other states, other countries, right? And so there are enough people out there to where you can be very successful. And I think that's one thing I had to kind of get over was, man, we had 30, 40 people in a class at my in-person gym. And now I can make a living like I want to with just training 30 people. How does that even make sense? There's people that are going to pay this, but it's believe in your product, believe in what you serve, get people results, and they will come for sure.
Yeah, and that's a tip number 2 right there. I wrote down abundance mindset when you get into this. Now we need to pull off the trifecta. What's one more tip for the people before we end the podcast today?
God, I would say, man, write down some audacious goals and go after them. Right. One thing that I have done, and when I started, was I've always had a dream of working in corporate wellness. and it was really hard to get people to local companies to buy in to come get their employees to come to a gym to train, right? That took a lot of wheels turning. It just never ever worked. And then I was just sitting here in my first week and I told my wife, I said, this is it. I've got what I've been waiting for to take two companies. And that's one thing that's helped me be very successful is I've got not only 18 or 19 clients now, but I have 3 companies that I'm working with. You know, one of those companies I'm not starting with till Q1 of 24, but they've got 500 employees worldwide, right? So that was amped when I had that call because I can provide them a remote training that is going to help them and they can do it from wherever they want. And when you bring that to the company, you know, they saw that as a great value add and I can reduce the cost so much because and make it worth it to them. That's like a no-brainer, right? But it's one of those things that week one, I said, I'm doing this, right? I'm not going to limit it to just people that are going to reach out to me that I can find over Facebook or Instagram. I'm going to start reaching out to these companies. And what's the worst that can happen? They're going to turn me down. So what? I'm going to go to the next one. Somebody will say yes.
Dude, let's freaking go. Congrats on all your success, man. Blake,
Thank you.
where can people find you on the old internet?
Right now, I'm getting my website built, so I wouldn't go there. Just, you know, Instagram is the best one. It's primed for life. So my business is primed for life. So it's primed.for.life at prime for life. That's me.
Let me make sure I'm following you. You said primed.
Primed for life. Prime.for.life. And the four is spelled out FOR.
All right, I just gave you another follow. There we go.
There we go.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, this has been phenomenal. If you guys enjoyed this as well, make sure you follow good old Blake. Screenshot this up, post it on your Instagram, and give us a tag. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.